Hello, my name is Jasmin Magdalene Rose from the Magdalene Sanctuary of Light. Mary Magdalene, as a figure of immense spiritual sovereignty and sacred remembrance, endured profound projections of judgment, fear, desire, distortion, and even reverence. To walk in her path meant to walk as a mirror, reflecting others' unhealed wounds, shame, and their yearning for the divine feminine, and their discomfort with feminine power. So how did Mary Magdalene deal with these projections? She stayed rooted in her sacred identity. She held fast to the truth of who she was, a priestess of the rose, a beloved of Christ, a womb oracle, and an anointer of light. She did not let others define her through their lens of wounding. The projections of sinner, temptress, and so forth did not diminish the radiance of her soul's assignment. She also understood projections as unmet soul longings. She did not take other people's projections personally. She saw through them. She recognized that much of what people projected onto her, be it shame, resentment, jealousy, awe, fear, lust, were distortions of their own longing for union with the divine. And she met this not with retaliation, but with compassionate witnessing, anchoring herself in the knowing that truth needs no defense. Although she met with people with love, she was not naive. Magdalene knew when to speak and when to remain silent, when to walk away, when to protect her essence. She was a priestess, a master of energy, who understood how to guard her field. She did not throw pearls before those unwilling to see their worth. She preserved her power. She let the wound become the grail. The distortion of her name and story became part of the sacred alchemy. Magdalene transmuted the collective wound of the shamed feminine into a grail of embodied sovereignty. Her life became a living transmission, that what is exiled and condemned can become the womb of redemption and divine remembrance. She became a mirror of divine reflection. In her presence, people felt both discomfort and liberation. She reflected their disconnection, their longing for the sacred feminine, and their unprocessed pain. But to those who were ready, she became a mirror of divine possibility, a living pathway back to the beloved within. She held the frequency of unconditional love. Ultimately, Magdalene knew that love is the highest transmutation of projection. She did not collapse into victimhood. She held the resonance of unconditional love without sacrificing her truth. Her power was not in pleasing, fixing, or justifying, but in being. And on a deeper level, she let the projection reveal the collective wound. Mary Magdalene saw that people's projections were not about her, but about a world afraid of the feminine in her full expression. She held a mirror to humanity's fracture, the split between the sacred and the sensual, the holy and the embodied, the spiritual and the feminine. Every accusation hurled at her, dangerous, unclean, too much, not enough, was an echo of the ancient wound, the fear of the embodied goddess, the rejection of the womb as holy, the exile of feminine power from the altar of life. Rather than trying to be understood by those who could not see, she held space for the wound itself to be witnessed, without closing her heart. This is the alchemy of the priestess. She spoke in codes only the heart could understand. Magdalene was not here to convince the world of her purity. She was here to awaken the rose codes in those who had eyes to see and hearts to remember. Her words, her presence, her tears at the feet of the Christ, all held multidimensional vibration. To those with open hearts, she was a key. To those in fear, she was perceived as a threat. She understood that the truth is not for the mind alone. She spoke to the body, the blood, the soul's memory. Mary Magdalene wielded the power of softness as a sword. Her power was not in outward defense, but in unshakable tenderness. She walked the embodiment of divine paradox. Fierce and soft, devoted and free, sensual and sacred, grieving and sovereign. She refused to armor her heart, even in the face of betrayal and denial. She kept her womb open to the beloved. This was her strength. She did not react, she transmuted. Her silence pierced louder than defense. She knew she was initiating the archetype of the exiled priestess. Mary Magdalene's life was not merely personal, it was archetypal. She walked on behalf of the collective, wounded feminine. The priestesses burned, silenced, and cast out. And she walked also as their resurrected form, reborn in the heart of the Christ flame. She did not escape her projection. She met it, she sat with it, anointed through it. The oil she poured was not just for Yeshua. It was for herself, for all women, for the return of the feminine to the altar in both women and men. She anchored her identity in the mystery, not the labels. They called her many names, but Magdalene was formless beneath the form. She remained fluid, devoted to the mystery, rooted in her soul's truth beyond titles. And this is why the distorted stories could not truly diminish her. She belonged to something eternal. The Divine Mother moved through her. She was the living Grail, uncontainable. Mary Magdalene practiced rituals to recalibrate her field. She did not just bear projections, she cleansed them. And some of these ways included through sacred bathing in the rivers and seas, anointing her own body with myrrh and rose, toning light through her voice, weaving light codes into her prayers. She understood that the projections of others could cling, so she developed energetic hygiene as a sacred practice, releasing all that is not hers and returning all projections to Source, and remembering who she truly is. She allowed the projections to make her unshakable. Each misjudgment was not a defeat, it was an initiation. Every stone cast in thought or word became a stepping stone toward greater wholeness. She was not here to be palatable. She is here to be a portal. Mary Magdalene's story is so archetypal that it exists in all women to an extent, in some degree or form, so we can all learn from her and apply her teachings and her wisdom into our own lives. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this sharing, and do like and subscribe if you would like to receive more. Thank you. With much love. Bye.